Assassin's Creed. The story of a man who has his life ripped away from him so he can relive the life of another who is infinitely more interesting. For those of you who have never played this game, let me take you on a journey of discovery, frustration, and murder. Lots and lots of murder. Jump into the Animus with me and enjoy Assassin's Creed. We start off our game with a pre-rendered cutscene, as per the norm. I'll be honest, the first time I loaded this game up, I thought my Xbox was having a seizure. I'm surprised they didn't slap an epilepsy warning on this game. Never mind. Turns out that they do have one in the manual. Yeah, remember manuals? The place where they'd put all the information you'd learn from playing the game anyway? Still, sometimes manuals had fun little Easter eggs inside them for those who flipped through the pages. Hell, some of the information was actually useful. Except for this one. After the cutscene plays out, we finally get into the game and...
I applied my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly.
I'm already confused. Why am I being harassed by slender women? Who's this guy? What's that thing? Is my TV broken? Who are these people? Where am I? Why does this shirtless jackass keep shoving me?
You okay?
But it's okay, because it turns out it was all a dream.
But it wasn't a dream. It was a place. And you were there.
It's here that we're introduced to our quasi-protagonist, Desmond Miles.
Saved my life? You kidnapped me. You strapped me into that thing.
Hi, Nolan North. For those of you having trouble following along, Desmond has been kidnapped by Abstergo Industries. They're the bad guys, by the way, and forced into this machine called the Animus.
It's an animus.
Whatever. The Animus allows people to access their ancestors' genetic memory and relive them in a VR fashion. So it's sort of like Ancestry's DNA thing, only about 1,000,000 times cooler. They're doing this because they need information from Desmond's ancestor, whose name is... that. To summarize, we're playing a guy who's playing another guy, so we're really playing this guy, but this guy is dead, so technically we're not playing this guy, but in fact, we are just playing this guy while he plays this guy. Any questions? Joining us in the present day are Lucy Stillman, whose face is very... early HD, and Warren Vidic, who is...
I am not going back in there.
Then we'll induce a coma and continue our work. When we're done, you'll be left to die. Truth be told, the only reason you're still conscious is because this approach saves us time.
You know, I think there's a K missing from the end of his name. After a quick tutorial, we are thrust back to the year 1191. Wow, that was exactly 800 years before I was born. I just realized that. Wow. The Crusades are in full swing. The forces of King Richard and Saladin wage war for control of the Holy Land, and Dean Herbert of East Anglia makes the first reference of a windmill in Europe. Huh. Nothing to do with this game, but kind of interesting nonetheless. Amongst this chaos, we find the real hero of this story, Altair. By the way, if you don't like the way I pronounce his name, here's the address you can complain to. You can tell he's the hero of this story because he's the only person in the Holy Land with an American accent.
The Master believes the Templars have found something beneath the Temple Mount.
Treasure?
I do not know. All that matters is the Master considers it important.
You can also tell by the fact that the very first thing we see him do is murder an innocent old man. And then brag about it.
An excellent kill. Fortune favors your blade.
Not fortune, skill. Watch a while longer and you might learn something.
Truly a role model for the kids. These three are on a mission to investigate the activities of Robert de Sable.
Robert de Sable.
Whatever. It turns out Rob and his crusading buddies have uncovered the legendary Ark of the Covenant. Altair, despite being told not to confront the Crusaders, decides to do exactly the opposite of that.
You have already broken 2 tenets of our creed. Now you would break the 3rd. Do not compromise the Brotherhood.
I am your superior, in both title and ability. You should know better than to question me.
He's a loose cannon assassin who doesn't play by the creed. You're a loose cannon, Altair. I don't play by the creed anymore. Coming this summer to a theater near you. Not really. Needless to say, it goes about as well as you'd expect.
You know not the things in which you meddle, assassin.
Did I do that?
Altair manages to escape, but after returning home to Masyaf, Altair now has to tell his mentor, Santa Claus, going by the name Al-Mualim, that he done goofed. I think he takes it well.
I did.
Do not speak. Not another word.
I should send your ass back to Crenshaw Pete with his hot-ass coat hangers, bitch. Would you like that?
Just when you think Altair couldn't look any worse, it turns out one of his other assassin buddies, Malik, also managed to escape, and also managed to bring back the treasure, with him. Though not before throwing some shade.
Because you would not heed my warning! All of this could have been avoided!
Sheesh, you'd think it was his brother who died or something.
And my brother would still be alive!
Ooh. Oops. But we don't have time to grieve for... what's his name? As old Robbie's come a-feudin'.
Heretic! Return what you have stolen from me!
I don't want to talk to you no more, you empty-headed animal food trough whopper. I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
When taunting didn't work, they tried a little psychological warfare.
Show this fool knight what it is to have no fear. Go to God!
Oh, my leg! Oh, my leg!
Someone didn't get the memo about ignoring the laws of physics. Finally, when all else failed, Altair went back to the classic strategy of dropping heavy stuff on his enemies. Maybe since Altair did such a good job fighting off the Crusaders, Santa Claus will forget his little screw-up earlier. Nope. Nope, not even a little bit. And now it's time for a quick pop back to the present as... good grief, that walk cycle, though. As Desmond takes a well-deserved break in one of Abstergo's finest holding cells. Here at Abstergo, we pride ourselves on making our hostages as comfortable as possible. Each room comes standard with one double bed, one conveniently locked closet, a fully stocked bathroom with around-the-clock surveillance, which is in no way creepy, and automatic locking doors to ensure that none of our guests can accidentally escape their rooms. Abstergo Hotels, where you don't check out until you check out. After a short nap and a minor hellish hallucination, Desmond jumps into the Animus to find that, spoiler alert, Altair isn't dead! Somehow. He did, however, contract a horrible disease known as Metroid Syndrome. Its symptoms include losing all of your equipment and skills for reasons unknown, and a possible copyright strike from Nintendo. It's here that Al-Mualim gives Altair the opportunity to reclaim his lost honor by killing 9 people throughout the Holy Land. First, however, we need to prove that we have what it takes to be a true, hardcore, cold-blooded assassin by demonstrating the skills that define our trade, such as pickpocketing, beating people up, and of course, eavesdropping! Get used to doing this, by the way, you'll see why in a minute. After finding the douche that helped the Crusaders get into Masyaf, it's now time for Altair to begin his quest for redemption. We have 3 different cities we can travel to, each one housing one of our targets. There's Jerusalem, there's Damascus, which everyone pronounces in an interesting fashion.
Damas.
And the city of Oprah, or as I like to call it, Grayscale. Before we can go to these places, though, we must first venture through the lands known only as Kingdom. Ah, Kingdom. Miles and miles of nothing but miles and miles. Random towers, Crusader checkpoints, and insignificant people as far as the eye can see. Yeah. I hate this place. There's nothing to do here! The only reason for Kingdom to exist in this game is to pad out the early hours of the game. I mean, you could collect all the flags, but again, I'll be talking about why you shouldn't be doing that in a bit. Luckily, you have to ride between Masyaf and each of the cities only once before you are allowed to fast travel to them. And thanks to the power of editing, I can do this! No matter which city you choose to go to, the formula for each assassination plays out pretty much exactly the same. First, you have to sneak into the city, either by climbing over the guards with no peripheral vision, or by blending in as a monk. A highly armed monk. Yeah, can we talk about this for a second? How dumb are these guards? I mean, yeah, I get it. I'm wearing white, they're wearing white, but I've also got a sword, throwing knives, armor, and you're telling me that none of these brain-dead idiots can put two and two together? Hey, look, a bunch of monks. Best let them in, then. Are you sure the one in the middle is a monk? What do you mean? Well, he's got a lot of weapons on him, hasn't he? Must be one of the warrior monks. Huh. I didn't think our religion had warrior monks. That's awesome! I know, right? On a side note, if anyone takes issue with my atrocious British accent, here again is the address you can complain to. Once inside the city, you have to contact the Assassin's Bureau leader. In Jerusalem, that means we're reporting to Malik. You know, the guy whose brother we got killed and now apparently whose arm had to be amputated because of us. In other words,
he doesn't like you.
After the head of the bureau gives you some details on who your target is and where to look for information, your job is now to go out into the city and complete missions that will help you assassinate your mark. Though the assassinations themselves are different each time, the missions leading up to them are pretty much the same every time. Pickpocket someone, eavesdrop on random conversations, beat up town criers. Then there's the ones where some other assassins give you a task to either run around collecting flags, or just kill a few guards. Remember earlier when I said to get used to doing these things? I meant it, because this is what you do leading up to every single assassination. Every freaking time.
It's a tiny bit repetitive.
Before starting these investigations, you should climb up to the top of several towers throughout the map and synchronize with them. This reveals a portion of the map, including the mission markers. The best part is, after you climb to the top, you get to perform a completely impossible and would totally kill you in real life leap into a nice, soft bale of hay below. One of the cruxes of the franchise is the player's use of parkour.
But Tritonus, it's not parkour, it's freerun.
To traverse the city. You can climb up buildings, leap across rooftops, and generally go wherever you want. As long as it's not behind these scary blue walls. Yep, it's one of those games, you know the ones, where they have these big open worlds and beckon you to explore, but they don't want you to see all of it just yet, so they make up some stupid reason as to why you can't go there. Back to the parkour, you can tell this is Ubisoft's first attempt with a system like this, especially when you compare it with later entries in the series. Not that it's terrible or anything, it's just that sometimes you can tell the game to do one thing and it ends up doing something else entirely. Also, trying to get away from guards is equal parts intense and frustrating. Intense, as in your heart starts racing the moment this kick-ass music starts up. And frustrating in that you'll oftentimes find yourself being chased by about a dozen guards, all as fast as you, and just about to get to a hiding spot when one of them gets you in their sights and forces you to keep running. I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at this game. Nah, that can't be it. Luckily, the combat is a cakewalk. Hell, sometimes I find it preferable to just stop and kill all the guards chasing me instead of running. At least then I'll be doing something other than fighting the parkour controls, and I get to throw people into scaffolding. Man, that is so satisfying. And then there's these assholes. Okay, true story. When I first got this game, way back in the ancient times known as 2009, I set out to collect all the flags scattered throughout the game. For the record, that's 420 regular flags and 60 Templar flags. So, in total, 480 flags. Keep that in mind. These flags are all over the place. Not just in the cities either, but some of them are littered around Kingdom, too. And that place is ass-normous. You heard me. I said it. Ass-normous. I went through many personal struggles and guides in my quest. Even after beating the game and growing sick of it, I stuck with it for days. I'm not kidding, days, until finally I had done it. I found the last flag after searching for so long. And what did I get? Achievements. That's it? That's it?
No!
As you can see, I was quite miffed. Once all the investigations have been completed, you have to go back to the bureau leader to get permission to move on to the next objective. And as for the assassinations themselves, each one is unique in its own right. Each target has a story and agenda of their own and forces you to plan your method of attack carefully before you strike. The downside to this is that they do feel heavily scripted, as in there are very few options in how to actually kill them. Unless you get lucky and have them run out into the streets so you can just chase them down. After you've killed each target, you'll get a cutscene where they explain their motivations for doing all the horrible things they've done. It's in these moments where you begin to see that they're not necessarily evil, but just trying to accomplish noble goals through cruel means. In this way, they aren't so different from us, really. Except for this guy.
You'd kill people simply for believing differently than you.
Of course not. I killed them because I could. Because it was fun. Do you know what it feels like to determine another man's fate? And did you see the way the people cheered? The way they feared me? I was like a god.
Fuck this guy, man. Once the contract has been completed, you have to return to the bureau leader again to report your success before heading back to Masyaf. Again, the first time you do this, you have to ride all the way back through Kingdom. Oh, joy. Thankfully, as before, you can choose to skip over this little journey about halfway through the game. Thank you, merciful Jeebus. Once you're back in Masyaf, you exchange words with Al-Mualim, asking him things like, "Master, why do these guys all think they're good when they're bad?" And he'll respond with things like, "Because reason, here's some of your stuff back." And Altair will be like, "Sweet!" I'm paraphrasing, you understand. This cycle pretty much repeats itself about 9 times throughout the course of the game. With each person he kills, Altair begins to learn important life lessons, like getting shoved by drunk people is annoying, and that his fellow assassins are all lazy asshats.
I was about to go after them, but my back is hurting too much.
More importantly, though, he learns that there is more to the creed than simply doing as he pleases. Over time, he gains more respect for the tenets by which he's lived his life and, in turn, begins to earn back the trust of his fellow assassins. Even this guy.
We are one. As we share the glory of our victories, so too should we share the pain of our defeat. In this way, we grow closer. We grow stronger.
Thank you, brother.
And in that moment, in Jerusalem, they say, Altair's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And then he had a heart attack because, I mean, in real life, if your heart got that big, you'd just die. I mean, I don't even know why Dr. Seuss wrote it like that. That's a horrible thing to put in a children's book. That's awful. Al-Mualim eventually reveals that all of the men he's been sending Altair to kill are members of the same secret group, the Templars. They each banded together with one simple goal in mind.
Try to take over the world.
See, the Templars hate all the violence and chaos going on in the world and want to put their resources towards fixing it. Which sounds good, Until you realize that they want to do this by using a piece of technology left behind by an ancient, highly advanced civilization to strip most people of their free will and instill themselves as the almighty rulers of humanity.
Whoa, this is heavy.
With most of their members dead, Altair is now sent after the man who set him upon this path. Robert de Sable. There, you happy now? Altair catches up with him at a funeral and fights his way through several nights until only he and Robert remain. He moves in for the kill, only to find that Robert is actually a Roberta. Thank you for not killing me, but your target is in another castle. It turns out that old Robbie is trying to get both King Richard and Salah ad-Din to go after the assassins, using the deaths of his fellow Templars, who were subjects of both leaders, to give them a common cause. Oh, Robbie, you little stinker, you. With no time to waste, Altair fights his way to King Richard to warn him of the deception, only to find that Robert is already there. With both sides telling him different stories, King Richard, in his infinite wisdom, says, screw it, just fight each other and let God sort it out. Funnily enough, that's pretty much exactly what he says. After a particularly rough fight against about 10 knights, seriously, how's that a fair fight, Richie? I mean, come on, man, help me out here. Altair finally kills Robert and lets him speak his piece before he dies. In his dying moments, Robert reveals that, spoiler alert, it was an M. Night Shyamalan plot twist the whole time! Well, actually, he tells you that there weren't 9 Templars in the Holy Land, but 10, and that the 10th Templar was none other than Al-Mualim. Yep, it turns out that Santa Mualim only wanted Altair to kill his fellow Templars so he could keep the Apple of Eden, you know, that thing that we took from them at the beginning, for himself, and use it to rule the world. I don't know about you, but I feel used. With this shocking cliffhanger reveal, Altair leaves to confront his mentor. Meanwhile, back in the present day, yeah, you forgot about the present day stuff, didn't you? Don't worry, you're not the only one. As Desmond has been reliving his ancestors' memories, he's also been learning a little bit more about his captors. More specifically, that Abstergo is just the modern-day alias of the Templar Order, and that the assassins tried to mount a rescue attempt to get him out. But
that's been neutralized.
Yeah, that's not going very well. However, just when Desmond has lost all hope, we're hit with another reveal.
Just try and have a little faith.
Holy crap, Lucy is a magician! Oh, and she's an assassin, but forget about that! How does she do that with her finger? It's magic! It's real magic! Back into the Animus we go, as Altair returns to Masyaf to find that everyone has been hypnotized.
They walk the path.
What path? What are you talking about?
Towards the light.
Speak sense.
There is only what the Master shows us.
Altair fights his own brothers before confronting Al-Mualim, who has opted to go for the monologue instead of kill approach to villainy.
So, the student returns.
I've never been one to run.
Never been one to listen either.
For our final boss fight tonight, Al-Mualim employs the ever-so-effective catch-me-if-you-can strategy. I'm not kidding. You hit him, then he runs away and hides. You find him, hit him again, rinse and repeat until he realizes he's an old man and pulls his hip or something. Seriously, man, you had the power of a god at your fingertips, and this is the best you could come up with? With Al-Mualim defeated, all that's left is for Altair to destroy the apple to prevent its powers from being abused again.
Cast it into the fire!
I can't.
Destroy it!
It's in our final moments with Altair that we see what the Templars were looking for this whole time. A map generated by the apple to the locations of the other pieces of Eden. With Desmond's usefulness worn out, the Templars are all like, kill him. But Lucy is like, nah, don't. And they're like, why? And she's like, because. And then they go, okay. When Desmond goes to rest after this ordeal, he realizes that he has eagle vision now too. Oh. What, I forgot to mention Eagle Vision? Well, honestly, I'm not really that surprised I forgot to bring it up. I mean, in other games, it's pretty useful, especially in Assassin's Creed Black Flag up to Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It's super, super useful. But in this game, it pretty much anchors you in place, and it doesn't really help you in most instances. I mean, honestly, the only time I've ever found it to be useful is during that one mission with the guy who is burning all the books because he's dressed sort of like his disciples. The game closes out with Desmond using his new ability to see a bunch of cryptic symbols adorning the wall above his bed. But what do they mean? Nobody knows. Well, anyone who's played the second game onward knows, but at this point, nobody knows. And so ends the first installment in the Assassin's Creed franchise. You know, in all honesty, I have a love-hate relationship with this game. I love the story and the atmosphere of the game, as well as the history surrounding the game's events. The feeling of mystery and intrigue, especially when you start to really put the pieces together, is actually really engrossing. But that being said, the gameplay itself hasn't aged well, to be perfectly honest with you. Parkouring can be fun at times, but it's been so vastly improved and iterated upon in future installments that it feels almost painful to play now. The combat has its moments, but again, it feels stiff compared to what the future holds for the franchise. Combine that with the repetitive nature of the investigations and the somewhat slow pacing brought about by the forced excursions through Kingdom early on, then you can get the reasons why I prefer to watch the game in a movie form rather than actually play through it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and a comment if you did, and I hope to see you all on our next adventure. Have a good one.
You hide like a rat!